I had no idea there's so many different types.
Oh, snuff boxes were very popular in the 18th and 19th centuries, Dr. Roberts. Look at this one. You think it's real diamonds?
Oh, yes, there were, Miss Meredith. Let's just hope he's not in search for high-quality diamonds like that.
Hush, he might hear you. And put that dagger back, Major. It's a collector's item.
Oh, is this just the one he got when we protected me? Cuba together. A thief could easily pocket a lot.
Really, Major Despard? Shh. It is hardly hospitable for our host to have fallen asleep. Let's continue with the game of bridge. Mrs. Desmond, I have to tell you that I've been watching your films ever since I was a girl.
Thank you, dear.
I'm curious, how do you know our host, Mr. Shaitana?
He came to take my picture on the set of my film. He knows how to capture my best angle.
This is Ariadne Oliver.
Oh, my dear Mrs. Oliver, we are delighted to see you, even if our host seems to be occupied.
Oh, he's been up to me more times than I can count. Major and dear. And Mrs. Lorman, even a game, right? You're doing well, I bet. Oh, I just finished another, and it's such a relief. I thought I killed off Sven Henderson, but he escaped at the last moment.
Excuse me? May I present Mrs. Ariadne Oliver. Mrs. Oliver, this is the grand dame of the silver screen herself, Mrs. Gloria Desmond. Surely you don't want to kill off Sven. He made you famous.
Even if Sven was a real person, I would devise a way of confounding the police and astonish the world.
Are you capable of committing murder, Miss Oliver?
Anybody in this room could commit murder under certain circumstances.
Detective Poirot.
Is that the Poirot? Detective Poirot, I hope it isn't a murder that brought you here.
Good evening. I assure you I am here strictly in private capacity. Is Mr. Shaitana about?
Oh, no, very good to come. Unfortunately, Mr. Shaitana is indisposed. You see, Mr. Shaitana built up over curiosity only to fall asleep.
Yes, I too am curious. I understand he has a secret to reveal. Something about one of his guests.
I enjoyed bodying the study so much.
Thank you.
More clubs. Double.
4 clubs. No bid.
No bid. No bid. No bid.
No bid. No bid.
Mr. Shaitana? Mr. Shaitana?
What is it?
I'm afraid the poor man is dead.
What? Are you sure, man?
I'd rather you not touch him, Doctor.
Come now, how would you know if he's dead? Let me examine him. You wouldn't want to make a mistake.
I haven't made a mistake, Doctor. And I don't need a professional opinion to tell you that our host has been stabbed through the heart.
I think I want to go home.
Of course, Anne. I will help you.
I'm afraid no one can leave. Yet.
See, Poirot, you can't keep us here.
I imagine you were suggesting that we are all suspects. Is that so?
No one can be discounted. I'm sorry. You're all under suspicion.
But only one of us could have done it.
Someone with a secret to hide.
I'm sorry, ma'am, but you can't be here while we question the subjects.
Oh, you simply must let me join you. A crime murder at the scene of a crime? Oh, please.
No interruptions, all right?
Let me introduce you to Sergeant Battle. She will be helping me with tonight's case. Can you take me through your afternoon?
There's nothing exciting to speak of until, well, you know. As Mr. Shaitana's butler, it is my duty to greet and announce each guest. I first noticed Mr. Shaitana to be asleep, as I presumed, when I introduced Mrs. Oliver.
When did you first notice Mr. Shaitana seemed to be asleep in his chair?
Well, let's see. I brought the teapot into the parlor at 3. He was sitting in his chair. Then I was called away to help in the kitchen.
Is this the piece of the tea set you used?
Yes.
It is okay. It's been dusted for fingerprints.
Is it poison, arsenic, or something more exotic?
Is it poison? Well, I didn't put it there. Poison, Anne said. Mr. Shaitana shouldn't have gone that way. It would be undignified to kill my master.
I know. I do not believe either of you are capable of murder. You may go now, both of you.
I understand you need to question all of us, but...
I'm sorry to interrupt your afternoon, but there has been a murder.
I know, but I didn't do it.
Any details or insights you may have had about this afternoon's event will be greatly helpful. At what time did you arrive here today?
I arrived in my limousine at shortly 2 o'clock.
And I arrived shortly thereafter with my housemate and good friend, Miss Anne Meredith. She used to work for my aunt, and before her, another woman who lived on the Cape. When my aunt died, I asked for Anne to come and live with me.
She lives with you?
Well, she's my companion now. She held 3 jobs since graduation.
3? You only mentioned 2.
Well, she had another job, only for 3 weeks though.
And she thought a job for such a short time didn't count?
It wasn't that.
Oh?
Oh no, the person she was with, Mrs. Benson, died.
What did she die of?
She was poisoned. It was horrible for everyone. She died in agony.
How was she poisoned?
She drank some hat paint. She mistook it for medicine. It was all her own fault. She'd asked Anne to paint a hat. When Anne was done, Mrs. Benson told her to put it in an old medicine bottle. And somehow the 2 bottles got mixed up, and well, I've told you what happened. I think Anne feels partly responsible.
Pardon me, but she seemed sensitive. Very delicate.
I think all of this has set her off. She felt responsible then. Of course, it was all an accident.
You both knew the deceased well, didn't you?
We met overseas on a trip to Paris. I tried to matchmake Anne and Mr. Shaitana, but in the end, it didn't work out.
And what did you think of him?
There is always something a little bit frightening about Mr. Shaitana.
And why is that?
You never know what will strike him as amusing. It might be something cruel.
And why is that?
I don't know, but neither of us could have done it. We were walking the grounds, and Mr. Shaitana was walking and talking when we left.
He appeared to be asleep when we returned, so we tiptoed by him and sat down on the couch. And none of us went near him after that.
None of you moved?
None of us moved. As you can see, as one matures, one moves more slowly. It was Miss Meredith. It was Anne. I knew she was sore when Mr. Shaitana didn't propose last summer. Don't gossip, George. Leave this to the professionals. I just heard her flatmate and best friend accuse her of killing one of her companions.
My experience with the police is that they're like a dog with a bone. They know somebody has something to hide. I don't want to be a dog nor a bone, honestly.
Oh, it reminds me of all the gossip back at the hospital. Suspicious circumstances concerning a patient's death. Nonsense turning into truth.
Sorry, doctor. I don't quite follow.
People gossiping about situations they know nothing about.
Human nature is enough. What? You answer. Doesn't.
Lots of old ladies get that particular bee in their bonnet. convinced the doctors are poisoning them. Mrs. Gray said 3 other doctors before coming to me. I was delighted when she moved on to Dr. Steele. After him, she died.
She used to bottle her own fruit, and you know how dangerous that can be, Major.
I'm afraid my adventures are a little bit more, active, Miss Meredith. I am on another adventure. I am on another safari next month.
What were you just talking about?
Dr. Rogers was just lying with no money. People is accused of killing.
What? We already know who did this anyway. So this kind of tomfoolery is a waste of everyone's time.
Goodness me, Dr. Roberts. Let's stop playing judge, jury, and prosecution and calm down.
I do apologize, everyone. If you could take a seat.
Detective Poirot, I did it. It was me. I belong in difficult history with Mr. Shaitana, and the opportunity arose when we started to play bridge. Mr. Shaitana was asleep, being rude as usual, and I took the slim dagger from his collection. A quick look at the other engrossed in the game, and I knew it was now or never. I did it. I stabbed him, and mocked conversation with him as my cover. Everyone else in this room has their whole lives ahead of them. Mrs. Lorimer, please.
And
The victim, Mr. Shaitana, was poisoned before he was stabbed.
How dramatic.
Your stab did not kill him, but merely ensured that he was dead. Now, since the victim has to be one of the 4 people playing bridge, everything tonight begins and ends with the bridge scorecards. Each of these provides insight to your characters. Mrs. Lorimer, a brilliant bridge player. Cool, calculated, quick, clean, decisive, but only because you planned every move you were going to make well in advance. I would have accepted your confession because you have the intelligence to plan the perfect murder. But you insist you killed Mr. Shaitana in the spur of the moment. I'm afraid your cards show you to be the opposite of the kind of person who would kill in this way. Not least to mention, Mr. Shaitana was not killed by his collector's item dagger. Let's move on to our next player, Major Despard. An adventurer with any amount of nerve, accustomed to making quick decisions. You're not just at home when you're facing danger, you're actually enjoying it. And when we look at how you placed your cards on the table, these characteristics come into play as well. Yes, you could have killed our host, but you would have faced up to him, confronted him. Then there's Anne Meredith, playing a very strange hand. Protected by Mrs. Lorimer and accused by her friend Rhonda. Her scorecard shows her to be a timid bridge player, unwilling to take risks. But if she were ever afraid, she might suddenly pounce, and quite often win.
Well, thank you for putting us in the picture. If that's all, I'll be on my way now.
Oh, give us a few more minutes, Doctor. I haven't cleaned my trunk out yet. Have I, Miss Oliver?
I don't know.
Yes, real life is very different from your crime books.
Yes, Felix is terribly constructed.
Sit down, Doctor. I can't prove you killed Mr. Shaitana, Dr. Roberts, but I know someone who can help. Mr. Stevens, is there anyone in this room who you recognize?
Yes, him.
When was the last time you saw Dr. Roberts, and under what circumstances?
I've been hired at various matters around England. First occurred with Mrs. Graves of Graves House. She received poor treatment from the local doctor and boldly told the whole town, at which this doctor chose to retaliate. After a surprise home visit from the doctor, she was suddenly found dead while the hospitals claimed she had belonged to another practice. The second instance, I was cleaning windows in Kent. The lady of the house was in bed asleep. Then Dr. Roberts entered the room. The lady started to wake up, and this gentleman gave her an injection and she went out like a light again. And this afternoon, Dr. Roberts arrived early and insisted for tea for Mr. Shaitana himself.
We've been looking for you for a long time, Dr. Roberts.
I'm afraid this time you've been dealt a very poor hand. You might as well put all your cards on the table.